Welcome back to the Venom Workshop. So today what I'm going to show you how to do is we're going to change this wiring harness on this 1500 watt. It's actually pretty easy on this bike. We're not going to have to take all the body fairings off or anything like that. It's very, very simple. I'll show you where everything plugs in. It's going to be a very nice, easy install. So I'm going to actually just put this one back in. So I'm going to take it all out and then I'm going to show you what we would do to replace it. So I'm going to get my camera in place and I'm going to get some snips. That's pretty well all we're going to need is some snips and some zip ties. And we're going to get started and get this wiring harness out and then get it right back in. Okay, so we are going to remove one thing, and it's going to be this rack and this hood. We want to get underneath this hood just so we can get to the wires. I'll explain a bit in a sec. So I want to get rid of this charger. It's kind of in my way. Great. So all you're going to need is an 8mm wrench. You shouldn't need, an 8mm socket. You shouldn't need a wrench because the nut underneath just usually comes right off. You can leave those bolts in there. Okay. And there's one more down here to remove. Go. There we are. So there's going to be another one right here. Again, it's just an 8mm. Oops. It has a long thread on it, so okay, so I'm going to go to the other side. It's the exact same on the other side, and I'm going to do it, and then I'll meet you right back here. All right, so now we're going to come up here. And all we're going to do is pop this off, boop, like that. I'm going to set it off to the side. Now the hood, same thing. Give it a pop, like that. Move it down and off to the side. There you go. It's just because we want to get these wires right here. So you'll notice from our wiring harness right here, our headlights hook up on both sides, right here and here. So we can unplug those. So the headlights are always going to be the same. They're going to have a blue, green, and a white. And the one going to the harness has just a black and a blue. So we're just going to disconnect those. Okay, so this green and yellow goes up to this brake right here, right? So we're going to disconnect that. And then right here, we have this pack of wires with the blue, kind of like an aqua green right there, and then a dark green. That's actually for our brake and light switch. So we can go ahead and we can disconnect that, because again, that goes to the harness. Now there's going to be another wire coming off the harness. It's also green and yellow. It's going to come to a zip tie right here. So we're going to cut that zip tie. Okay, so our zip tie is right here. Just going to snip that. That, and that goes to the brake wires right underneath here, and it's going to go to two little clips there. So I'm going to get a set of needle nose. I'm going to pull them off. Right, so I just went and got my needle nose. You're going to need something just like that, a set of needle nose, something like that, so we can pop them off there. And you don't want to pull the wire out. I'm going to push this down. There we go. 1, 2. So there's our wire off the brakes. So we're good like that. Now we're going to look down here again. We just want to make sure everything's unplugged from the wiring harness itself. Then there's one more wiring that goes to the wiring harness, and on the harness side it's going to be red and red white, and then this one has a whole bunch of colors. It's black and white to green, and black and red. This is for the ignition, so we're just going to unplug that like that. And that should be the whole wiring harness from the front. Now we're going to come down to the side. Let's look here this way first. So right in there. Okay, here we go. So this is our wiring harness right here. And we've pulled out all the stuff from the front that we need to unplug. Everything should be unplugged. Oh, I'm sorry, we forgot one plug. That's the horn. So, straight ahead here is our horn. You're going to want to take the same thing, use your needle nose. And don't worry about these wires and how you're going to put them back. I'm going to show you how to put them back. There we go. That's our horn wire. Now we go back to where wiring harness is. So this wiring harness now should be able to pull out. Everything should be unplugged off it. If you have any zip ties that you see that need snipping, go ahead and snip them. I don't know where I put my snips, but I'm going to find them because there's one little zip tie here holding the horn wire. So we're going to grab some snips. All right, so I haven't got my snips. So I'm going to snip it right here. Right there, and we'll get that wire up and out of there. Okay, so now the wiring harness is going to come down like this. We can pull it all the way out from the front. Then there's going to be, we're going to go down and we're going to look up. There we go. Okay, so there's going to be a couple plugs here. I'm going to snip the zip tie. Okay, so I'm just going to snip this zip tie here. I'll get it back here if I can. Oh, that's there we go. It's a weird zip tie. Alright. So, we're going to have 3 wires here we're going to want to unplug. That is for our power. Right here, this is a power wire. And it goes to the controller. And right here, this is a brake wire. So this orange and, or sorry, you guys can't see nothing while I'm doing that. So there's a purple and gray. Purple and gray go to the controller as well. And that is for a brake wire. And you'll notice all the brake wires are, stop doing that, are green and yellow and green and yellow. So we're going to disconnect that from the controller as well. And we have one more right here, and that is a red and white, green, and it goes up to the battery gauge, which is a black and white wire. So we're going to disconnect that. So now we're going to pop off our seat, and so we can see a little bit clearer down here because we want to unplug a wire here, and I'm going to show you what it is. So I'm going to lift up the seat here. And the seat is very easy. You just click underneath here. There's a gold tab. Go right there, just flip it and our seat will come off. We can put it just right here. So what we're unplugging is right now, I already got a bunch of zip ties in here. Okay, so we're unplugging this red, yellow, and black wire, and it goes to a red, black, and green wire, and we're going to be unplugging that and snipping the zip tie that's right here, and there should be another zip tie there, and that goes to a fuse. And then we're going to have to snip one more zip tie at the back there for our backlight. But let's get these zip ties snipped. There's another one there holding the fuse. There we go. Again, that's a weird zip tie. There we go. Okay, and then our wiring harness comes down here, and we're gonna unplug. So this here, this black and white one here is for the charging port. I noticed that wire just popped right out. Okay, so the charging port goes to a green and a red. It's just a regular green and red. And like I said, our yellow, black, and red one goes to red, black, and green. Like I said, I'm going to show you how to plug all these back in, so it's not that big a deal. All right, so now the only thing holding this wiring harness in here is our tail light wire. We'll come back down under the frame here. Just drop you down a little bit more. And then back up. There we go. Now right here is our rear tail light, and the rear tail light coming from the harness is going to be white and green, blue and black. So we're going to unplug that like that. And we're going to come back here. I'm going to pull out this. So if we pull on this now and lift it out, that is our whole wiring harness. I'll throw it on the floor so we can get a look at it. So this is our whole wiring harness, and this is the way you're going to get it too when it comes to most times. It's going to be wrapped up like that. So all you have to do is open it up, and I'm going to show you. So when we lay this out on the floor like that, you'll know it's the front, because the front has the ignition and the two headlights right here and here. This is our brake and light switch right here. This green, very light green and blue. And we have our two brake wires that plug in. This one got broken, so I put a new end on it. But our brake wires, like I said, you'll easily know them because they're always yellow and green and green. Then we have our horn wires, which is a light green and a black. And that's another thing you'd notice if we go back to our horn button. It has a light green like that, which is the same as the horn. And then our two power wires, which plug into our ignition right here. And we'll come down here. This, again, you'll notice it's the same wires as the wires on the ignition. See right here? And this one's the one that goes to the controller. So it goes to the orange and pink wire. And this one here is for our battery gauge. So that plugs into our battery gauge. And again, it's yellow and green. So we know right away that's a brake. Let me go back down here. This plug here plugs into our rectifier. So the rectifier, what it does is it takes all that voltage from the battery and takes it down to 12 volts. So it'll run that 12 volt send through, and that 12 volts goes to our headlights, our throttle, all those things that'll burn very easily with all that voltage. And then we have this wire right here, and this one goes to your charging port. And this is the fuse that you'll notice runs through the voltage rectifier. So if anything happens, it'll pop that fuse. And then our last plug at the end goes to our tail light. So now, to put this back in, it's very, 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 very simple. Okay. So again, we got our wiring harness. What we're going to do is we're going to run all this stuff right here, so all this front stuff, up through here, and it's actually going to go up. So like I said, this is we don't need to worry about that wire, that's for the controller. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to pass it up and over through here. Or sorry, under that bar and up and over. And then you're going to pull all those plugs up into the hood. Just like that. And the real long wires, we're going to pull those up through, the one that goes up to the brake handle. We're just going to leave it up here hanging like that. Now, we know that our wiring harness has to go right back up here because our battery gauge is hanging here and we have to hook up our battery gauge wire. And then, like I said, we can get the plugs from the controller after, but we know it has to go right here. So the best way to do this, go ahead and grab yourself a zip tie. So we can put a zip tie here and hold it. There we go. So we can pull that back a tiny bit. We don't want to pull it back too far. So now we can put our wire back like that. And this wire can be zip tied with so this is the wire for our charging port. So when we zip tie this up to the frame, we can also zip tie this wire over and up, so it makes it look nice and clean. We can go ahead and plug these in first, but instead of doing that, I'm going to keep going back and I want to plug in my rear tail light wire first. So I'm going to feed that back. And you'll notice you can see that from the top here. So right from where the seat is, you can go ahead and plug that in. So I'm going to do that real quick. Just click that together. And then we're going to make our way forward. Okay. Nice, I got the light on. So, okay, so our charging port wire, let's get rid of that, goes to this red and green. So we're going to plug that in. Now this big 3-pronged plug from the wiring harness, that goes to our voltage rectifier. There we go. And I'm not going to hook up, I'm not going to keep zip tying just yet. I'm going to wait until I get all my plugs plugged in first. Just in case there's a pull on the wire or something like that, or I don't want to be pulling on anything right now, so I'm going to just leave it just like that. So now we're going to plug in our battery gauge, which is, don't pull on this wire, by the way. It'll come down to here and that's fine. Just hold the plug. Do not pull on this. It'll rip the wires right out of the battery gauge. You don't want to do that. So just kind of hold it like that, push it together. Perfect. Now we have this wire right here. And what we're going to want to do is go to our controller wires, which are right here. And you're going to want to lift this one up. This is the purple and gray. Again, that's a brake wire. That plugs into the green and green yellow, like that. And then we have one wire left. So this is our power wire. And like I said, it's the same color as our ignition there. So that one, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find the pink and orange wire from the controller and plug that in. There we go. So let's keep going. We'll keep plugging everything in. All these other wires from the controller that you see down here, they don't do anything. This this black and brown one is the governor. But this other one, the black and gray, and this white, don't do anything. You don't have to plug them in anywhere. Next, we're going to plug all the stuff together that needs to be plugged up here. So we're going to have this one, again, brake wire. So we're going to look from the brake wire that came down from your right handle, and it plugs in just like this. There we go. Then we have our horn wire right here. Our horn and lights, and that comes, there's a really long wire, I don't know why it's so long, but it's plugs into that. And it's a 4-prong plug, like that. And then we have our headlights. And it doesn't matter which headlight is which. It doesn't matter which one you plug it into, the right or the left. So this one here, I'm going to plug into the right headlight. And this one here, I'll plug into the left. And we'll just put our wire back up. Oh, there we go. And we'll plug those in. Just like that. Now this one, if you remember, light green goes to the horn. So we can feed that one down here. And if you look down, it's our horn right there. And this is our wire. Now, the light green goes to the top. And the black goes to the bottom. Just like that. And then we only have 2 wires more to hook up. And that's the ones for the pin under the brake handle. Just have to find out where we put that wire. Where did it go? No. There it is. So it's right here. So all you do is you're going to go underneath this little plastic lip right here, like that, and then it's going to go up to the handle. I don't know. Whoa, that was a fast descent. I'm going to show you exactly what you plug into. There's 2 little pins. Right on the front of this. And it doesn't matter which side plugs into which color. But you want to go over the top of this beam, a little beam here, for our handguard. Then you just have to plug it in. Sorry, the switch wire is kind of getting in my way, and I'm kind of at an awkward angle because of where the camera is. There we go. I'm going to push them both on better with my needle nose pliers. There we go. Perfect. Just like that. Alright, now we're going to turn our key on and we're going to try it. Alright, so we're going to come up here. And the first thing we want to do, we're not going to do any zip tying or anything until we figure out if everything works. Well, that's not a good sign. So my battery gauge is not working. So again, maybe what I did was pull on that wire. So let's see if we're just not getting any. Oh. So I forgot to do one thing, and it's kind of important. It's hugely important, actually. I didn't plug in my ignition. So my ignition wire is right here. It's going to be the one comes from the ignition is black and white, green, and then on the bottom is red and black. And it's going to plug into these 2 red wire square plugs. So the red and the red white, like that. Now let's try that all over again because I'm an idiot. So that's all our wires plugged in. So let's test it. Boop. Got full power. Headlights work. Perfect. Horn. Yep, that's working perfect. So we know that our wiring's all working. Let's see if it drives. So we got it in drive, D on. Phone's all messed up. There we go. So we got D for drive. Let's give it a turn. Yep, we don't want it to take off anywhere. We're gonna shut her down. And so now we're gonna zip tie everything, put everything back together, and that is how easy it is to change the wiring harness. This is a really easy one. The ATVs I find are all easy. If you know what the wires go to, and I've explained it a few times in the video, if you know what the wires are, it makes the whole thing a lot easier. So now we've got everything plugged in. We're gonna go ahead and get our zip ties on, and then, like I said, get the hood back on it, and that's it. So we're gonna wanna come down here. And our wiring harness is right here. We're gonna wanna wire up right here. And I'm not talking about the extra wires. We can zip tie those after. But this harness, I want to get it up. Wow, that broke easy. On my own strength. It's really cold in the warehouse, which it's not really. Okay. There we go. Right there. And then we're going to put another one to put the wires up. So these are all just up nice and tidy. And that's when you can put your other wires together. But they don't have to go on the frame. As long as it's keeping all these plugs together, that's all we need. Just like that. Nice tidy wiring. We'll snip that off. And then back here, we're gonna do the exact same. We're gonna give it a zip tie right here. And, whoa, nice. So we're gonna do it right here. And when I do it, I'm gonna pull everything all together, just like that. And then I'll just have to put one zip tie. So I'm going to pass it around the frame. All the way up the other side. Keep all those nice and tidy and inside the frame so nothing can snag them. Snip those off again. Snip this one off. Okay, now our wiring is all nice and tidy, but you notice something? We have something still hanging, and that's right here. This is your brake line. So to get that brake line up nice and out of the way, you don't want it jamming into any of the other wiring. We're just going to take it up in the front of the frame here. And we're going to zip tie it back up. On the inside. So it stays inside everything. And everything's nice and tight. Everything looks good. Everything's a nice and tidy job. See that? And now the only one else that I'm going to put on is for this horn wire. I'm going to put a zip tie there. And that's it. So everything looks nice and tidy now. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our hood back on. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to zip tie right here. Just like that. Oh, snip. Alright, so So now we just have to get our rack back on. See your rack, you just have to make sure your bolts line up the 2 holes in the front there. Like that, like there we go. And the other 2 poles, make sure they go in the holes. Now we're gonna go ahead and I will help you put these bolts back on. So each one here, just put it up here, and you can actually leave the rack, the bolt or the nuts on the rack off the front until you put this bolt in and the other bolt in. Just like that. And then you have a nut right here, and then you can go ahead and put that nut on your bolt in the front here. And then just tighten them up and just do the same thing on the other side. And that's it, guys. That's how easy it is to change the wiring harness on a 1300 watt ATV.